Hey, I'm T.A. Charlie, and welcome to the Road to Concord with Professor Joe Bakanovic. Homeroom is on Rumble. You just go to Rumble and search channels for the Road to Concord. It's one word. When you find it, you go ahead and you click follow. It might mean you got to set up an account, but it's fast, it's easy, it's free. I did it, you can do it. For those technologically challenged members of the class, you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. After the show, it's uploaded to Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and BitChute. Just look for The Road to Concord. You can go to the blog page, that's theroadtoconcord.com. That's where you'll find all your show notes, study notes, and handouts for the class. The phone is working. If you don't know how to call in, email us and we'll think about it. Finally, you can email a professor at joe@theroadtoconcord.com. He's a little slow, but he'll eventually get around to emailing you back. This show is currently mainly listener-sponsored. If you are interested in advertising your business on the show, please email us. With that said, we ask for your participation on a value-for-value basis. If you find our show of value to you, then you provide an equivalent portion of your labor and treasure through the donate link on the Road to Concord blog page, the show description on Rumble, and in the comments on the other streams. And thank you to all of you who have and will support this show.
Good morning. Welcome to the Road to Concord. Today is Monday, April 6th, 2026. I am your host, Joe Bakanovic. As you can see, I'm wearing my Dr. Evil shirt. I was going to say, Guten Morgen, kleiner Kindren. This is your good friend, Dr. Evil, here today to give you an update on the latest of Hydra's plan to destroy the world. But I was just not feeling it today. That would have taken way more energy than I have. I do have a show for you today. Got the homework, got a bunch of notes in there for you, so that all the links I'm going to use today, you'll be able to go and find. We're going to just, hopefully you have your little, your headlamp, like when you're in the miners camp, because we're going to jump down the rabbit hole. We're probably going to head to the bottom of the rabbit hole, to the basement, because we're going to chase all sorts of lovely little conspiracy theories. Yeah, it's Conspiracy Thursday on a Monday. Wow. What do you know? That's a throwback in this show already. Can you believe we've been around for 613 episodes on the Road to Concord now? Wow. It'd be even more if we were counting those shows from We Who Are Lost as well. Anyhow, let me show you where I want to begin today. Go right here. Did y'all see this one? It's Gateway Pundit. It says former Congressman Matt Gaetz claims that the U.S. has top secret alien hybrid breeding program. Well, this was on April 1st, so I figured, April Fool's joke, right? Yeah. Everybody knows that this was an April Fool's joke. Or do they? I don't know. This guy might not have gotten the message. This is from Mystery Lores, but you'll find this. I just grabbed it because it worked. Australian Senator Ralph Babbitt claims aliens are among us, promises accountability. And that's this guy here. Of course, now he also on April 1st, so April Fool's joke, right? Okay. Back to the Gateway Pundit. Quote, this country would come unglued. Representative Tim Burchett comments on recent alien claims amidst related scientists missing or dead. This is April 2nd of this year. So no longer April Fool's joke unless he's extending it. But he did make a comment about missing scientists. This seems to happen a lot if you're conspiracy theory minded and you start pulling on some of these threads. Like one of the ones that going to be hard to prove. Nobody can go anywhere with it, but it's an oddity. Y'all remember when that Korean airliner was shot down by the Russians way back in the when Ronald Reagan was president? Most of y'all listening probably too young to know about this, but you older folks will probably remember. What very few people ever bothered to mention in that story was there was a congressman on that airplane, or at least by all accounts that I've read, there was a congressman on that airplane, and it was not just any congressman. It was a congressman who was actively trying to expose the deep state military industrial machine within our government. And he got killed in that airplane crash. Ron Brown got killed in an airplane crash. You know, it was just the plane flew into the mountain. Except that in the autopsy, they said he had a bullet hole in the top of his head. And that's interesting because there was an Air Force stewardess who survived with minor bruises and cuts and scrapes. But by the time she got down to the bottom of the mountain to go to the hospital, she had died from a broken neck. Okay, that's just more conspiracy lore. But then there's that Flight 800, the TWA Flight 800, you know, that blew up because of supposedly a short in a fuel tank blew it up. Well, okay. Y'all do know that the last of the loose ends from the Clinton, what was it, Whitewater or whatever, one of the Clinton scandals, the last of the loose ends was on that airplane as well. Have you ever pulled the strings to see how many troublesome people in politics die in mysterious airplane crashes? Not just weird suicides, but also airplane crashes. That one you might want to chase someday when you got a little time to kill. So this is Representative Tim Burchett. And then same representative on April 2nd from The Blaze, he says, I'm not suicidal. It says U.S. would fall apart if we heard the truth about UFOs. In a shocking interview, Burchett reveals what he told Trump about potential disclosure. So he says he's not suicidal, meaning that if he goes ahead and kills himself, foul play was involved. Well, why would he be worried about all these things? Back to the Gateway Pundit again. This story is from March 12th. Mystery deepens. Retired Air Force general who commanded UFO-linked bases vanishes without a trace, missing for nearly 2 weeks as authorities beg public for leads. There apparently have been several of these people connected to these quote-unquote UFO bases that have gone mysteriously missing in the last few weeks, month and a half. What do we make of all of this? It's just coincidence, Joe. It's just nothing to see here. This is not the mystery you're trying to make it out to be. That's okay. That's cool. I got it. I understand. It's not a problem. No big deal. Did y'all hear that the Chinese just made a virus that they're going to put it in mosquitoes so that they can vaccinate bats? This is physics.org, turning mosquitoes into flying vaccine carriers to protect against bat-borne viruses. This is all in your homework. If you want to go look, you just go over here to your homework right here. Class 613, You go through. Oh, wow. I forgot about this. That's the X-Files. Oh, what's that got to do with bat-borne viruses? Well, you watch this one here in the top, and it gives you a synopsis of the entire TV show leading into the movie, the motion picture movie about this. And it was about a virus to protect us from all becoming alien hybrids. Because there was a virus running around the earth that was going to turn us all into alien human hybrids for an invasion by the Greys. But the good humans who are trying to save their own skin and their families, not yours and I's, were making a counter virus, and we were going to infect the entire world using bees. But actually what it really was is it wasn't to protect you. It was to turn you into the alien human hybrids, which was supposed to save you using bees. And then you go down here, and this one will explain the theory in the TV show even more detail. Alien human hybrids. Not a big deal, right? It's no big deal. Anyhow, mosquitoes. Chinese are going to do this. Well, that's okay. We've already done this in the United States several times. One time in 1955, they were experimenting with using artillery-delivered warheads that had mosquitoes in them that had been infected with yellow fever so that they could kill people through mosquito bites. Another time, they did this by infecting the mosquitoes with something that was relatively benign within human beings just to see how it would spread in the United States. They've conducted these experiments on us without our knowledge or without our permission several times now. We covered those stories on our Conspiracy Theory Thursdays when we were still doing them. We gave you we brought the receipts. We gave you the homework. We showed you where to go find all this to verify it for yourself. You can find it. It's out there. Google conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. You'll find it. So the idea of using mosquitoes to vaccinate bats, not a big deal, right? All right. Alien hybrids. Okay. Why does that ring bells with me? Okay. Star Trek. Stay with me. Stay with me. Star Trek, Return of the Archons. Huh? Is a Star Trek show. Let's read the synopsis of the show. The Return of the Archons is a 21st century episode of the first season of America's science fiction television series Star Trek, written by such and such, 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 such. But the plot is basically that the USS Enterprise and Captain Kirk and all arrive at this place that for 6,000 years they've been in this society that it's one world order type stuff. And everybody is of, quote unquote, the body. So in this one, it's USS Archon was reported lost nearly 100 years ago. And, you know, if you're not of the body and you won't assimilate, you know, of the communion, you won't assimilate, they kill you. And it's called Return of the Archons. And in this case, you know, it's just veiled. It's about the Archon's ship. Well, I don't, that word Archon. Do you know about this? Reptilian conspiracy theory. Oh, yeah, y'all know about that, right? Okay, well, also called the Archons or the Reptoids or the Reptilioids or the Saurians or the Draconians or the lizard people. They're supposedly shapeshifters who can take on the form of human beings who walk amongst us. And everybody knows all about this, right? No? You don't know about the aliens? Or that they're called Archons? Now, why would that bother me? Why would the idea of Archons give me any problem? You know, it's just, we're going down rabbit holes, right? And I'm talking about a bunch of nothing. I'm making no sense at all right now. I understand. So Archons would have nothing to do with this book, The Archon Invasion, Rise and Fall, and Return of the Nephilim. Well, the Archons are connected to the Watchers. They're the same people, sort of, kind of. They're the Watchers in the Bible, but they're Archons in Gnosticism. So the Bible wouldn't call them Archons. The Bible would call them Watchers. They have another name, too, Anunnaki. If you've been following us with any of our studies on Genesis and the ancient Near East worldview, the Anunnaki are not exactly Archons. They're the Archons' enemies. You know, it's the grays and the greens fighting each other. Still don't get it? Still don't see anything about what? Okay, I get you. I understand. Let me help. If you follow down these rabbit holes, it's going to take you a considerable amount of time. You have to read about the Anunnaki that's out of Babylonian lore. And they're not really human. They're not even really alive in the sense that you and I are thinking. But they're connected to the Watchers in the Bible. And in a lot of ways, you could say they are the Watchers in the Bible, but that's the Mesopotamian version of the Watchers from the Bible, the fallen angels. The angels who come down to earth and breed with people and make angel-human hybrids known as Nephilim. But now the Archons, now that's Gnosticism. That's the secret society stuff. The people who are supposedly running the world, according to us conspiracy theories, the secret organizations with the secret knowledge. Those are Archons. But the Archons are the Watchers. But in the lore, the Archons and the Anunnaki hate each other. They're two different people. But they're the same people. So how do you, what? Huh? Makes no sense. Okay, well, I can explain all of this. I can connect Archons and Anunnaki to the fallen angels, the Watchers in the Bible, with just one small little phrase. Charlie, tell me if this makes sense. Deuteronomy 32 worldview.
Yeah, that works.
Does that tie it all up into a nice, neat little ball?
Yeah. I have Werner von Braun ringing in my ears right now.
Get ahead of the lesson plan.
Oh, sorry. Well, I didn't give his quote. I just said who I was thinking about.
Yes. Okay. So what do I mean by Deuteronomy 32 worldview? all of these mythologies about the reptilian people, which, by the way, that's in ancient lore, that's what a seraphim would look like, a reptilian looking human. And a seraphim is, fiery serpent, or like the seraphim that are running around biting everybody in the Bible. And if they bite you, you die, unless you look at the seraphim that's held up on the stake. Well, Joe, those are snakes. Yes and no. The language works for throne guardians, which are angels that have human form with reptilian features. It's also snakes. It's the same word, so you don't know whether it's a snake or not. Well, the snakes bite you. Well, that could be figurative language. You are dealing with prophecy there. So that's your lizard people. And you have other lore in the ancient times about the Anunnaki and the Watchers and the Archons and all of this stuff. If the Bible's what it claims to be, and you are looking at everything with a Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Oh, by the way, we're going to be getting into this tomorrow. Well, then what happens here is that all of these different stories with the Archons and the Anunnaki and all of this, those are just different variations of the exact same story, the story that's in the Bible. And now I'm going to warn you, if you start going down that rabbit hole on your own, you're going to run into things that are going to argue that these are ancient aliens. No, I don't think so. You do not have ancient aliens visiting from other planets. I don't think there's life anywhere in the universe other than this planet. This is a privileged planet in this universe. This universe, as we understand it, is hostile to life. Now, I know all these planets, there has to be life, Joe. No, there doesn't. No, there doesn't. No. If you really want to understand that problem, you start researching Dr. Hugh Ross, from the University of Ontario in California, and Reasons to Believe. He's an astrophysicist. He's a believer, Bible-believing, old Earth astrophysicist. But he's got several books out that will explain in great detail. And if you want to, he does the math for you in the books. He shows you the equations, works them a little bit. Most of you won't be able to follow it. It's not a cut. Just most of us have never taken calculus and differential equations and things like that. So we won't understand what he's doing. But he does the math for you. You're not, no, the universe is dead. We understand just how unique this planet is. So you don't have aliens. There are no aliens from outer space. They're not there. When you understand everything that's involved, and like I said, you got to learn it. It's taking some time. You don't have to believe me. Go do it yourself. Go on. If you're reading the people who are taking this seriously, they'll tell you, no, there's no life from other planets here on this earth. So what are these beings that are presenting themselves as aliens to our world leaders? What are they? Well, if you believe the lore from the scriptures, then they could be what the Bible would call fallen angels, rather, presenting themselves in what we might think of as aliens, because, we no longer believe in the spirit world. In the biblical times, they would have immediately said, oh, these are spiritual beings. These are aliens or demons or something. That's how they would have interpreted it. We don't want to do that. So they're going to be aliens. This would mean that the pit has been opened and all of these fallen angels have been let out of the Tartarus. As Peter said, they've been locked up in the Tartarus. That's Roman Greek lore. See, this is what I tried to explain on some of our earlier shows, getting ready to do our series on Genesis, when we were doing shows on the ancient Near East, Middle Eastern type world, cosmology thinking. If the biblical story is real, then Genesis 6, 1-4 is not to be dismissed. Deuteronomy 32 is not to be dismissed. Psalm 82 is not to be dismissed. It's going to explain all this stuff. It's just that these beings, these probably, in my opinion, fallen angels, rebellious angels, and the demon spirits of their offspring, their hybrid offspring, the Nephilim, which are demons, they're intelligent, highly intelligent. And they show up back in this world and they see what's changed and they're like, we're not going to present ourselves as angels. We're just going to tell them we're aliens. These idiots will buy that hook, line, and sinker. And I think we have. Now, why would I say that? Well, because of another little conspiracy thing that I don't know if you'll remember this or not. Predictive programming. This is from Interesting Engineering. How do movies, books, and TV shows predict the future? Want to see into the future? Start watching The Simpsons. Now, this is in the show notes, so you can go back and read it if you want. I'll give you the bullet points of predictive programming. They're going to tell you it's a conspiracy theory in this article. Okay, fine. It's a conspiracy theory that movies, books, and TV shows tell you the truth of what's going on behind the scenes a decade or 2 decades before it's revealed. And this is to desensitize you and get you ready to accept it as truth. Now, it could be, in some cases, part of a delusion or a psyop. It could be, in other cases, meant to push you to form a thinking in our mind and push you. Global warming is predictive programming that's meant to push you into accepting their lie, because there is no there's no proof of anthropological, meaning man-made global warming. There is no hard scientific proof that that exists. They'll tell you there is. There isn't. I've done the work on that. I've looked at the work that they're doing. There isn't. The data is being manipulated according to which side you want to come down on and who's paying for what, but it's not there. Are we in a bit of a climate change? Yes, there's an indication that climate is changing, but man doesn't change climate. That's the Milankovitch cycle, remember? Were you in our classes when we covered that? This is to be expected. You know, science tells us that we've had miniature ice ages and all in the past. And I mean real science, because there were human beings alive to actually record what happened. Okay, the Thames River froze and people were ice skating on it. That has happened in the course of human memory, where we recorded those events in history. That's real science. We can say, okay, that happened. Well, this is before the industrial age. So how the heck did that happen? You know, there was no man to free. The Milankovitch cycle, volcanoes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's predictive programming. Predictive programming in where they're pushing society in a direction or two. The idea that all whites are evil and the source of racism and need to be gotten rid of. That's predictive programming. Okay, this is how they push social movements. There's nothing wrong with the LGBTQ community, and if you've got a problem with their rainbow jihad agenda, well, then you're some sort of phobic. No, that's predictive programming. If you've got a problem with Islam because you look at the history of Islam and you know that they're a locust on the face of the earth, well, now you're Islamophobic. No, that Islamophobic garbage is predictive programming. But there's more than that. Now, if you watch The Simpsons, this is oddly coincidental. There have been a number of Simpsons shows that apparently showed things that were going to happen in the real world in the future. And the characters were even depicted to look like the individuals that are going to be involved in the future. Like the one where the female person runs for president and gets elected president in The Simpsons. She's wearing a purple dress with the big necklace or whatever that Hillary had that one time, only Hillary didn't win. So why was it predicted she would win in The Simpsons? Well, that's because the elections were rigged and they knew that she was going to win. And this is why they're so hostile toward Donald Trump. It's not Trump they're upset with. I'm not going to tell you that Trump is outside the system. I don't think he is. I think he's actually part of this. I think what they're really, truly upset with is the people who voted for him, because he portrayed himself in a way that the American people accepted. And they're angry because their predictive programming to try and get you to become drones hadn't worked. Ergo, we've got to import a whole bunch more foreigners. We got to drown out these Bible-believing, Bible-thumping, gun-toting, patriotic individuals with a flood of foreigners. That's the replacement theory that has also been shown in other movies and videos. Eagle Eye, where the surveillance society, where the computers watch everything you do. That movie is almost 2 decades old now. And that is straight out of Orwell's book, 1984. It was predicting all of this. It is coming to pass now. The movies Contagion, and there were several movies that came out about Contagion a decade or so before the COVID thing. That's predictive programming. COVID-19 was not a world pandemic. That was a lie. And they just figured they'd get you to respond to it and allow you to vaccinate them with an alien mRNA vaccine that's going to make you into a hybrid. Oh, Joe, you're being crazy now. Oh, no. All the conspiracy theories who warned that the vaccine was going to change your DNA we're now finding out that, yeah, there's good reason to believe that. Yep, yep. Some of the vaccines did exactly that. Yes, they have. And they've changed it in a way that you're susceptible to all sorts of different infections, different cancers, myocarditis. I mean, have you been keeping up with that? I have. They're still killing people from that. And they will be for as long as anybody that's been jabbed is still alive. So that's predictive programming. And then this idea of aliens and asteroids. And remember all the asteroid movies 10, 15, 20 years ago? That's predictive programming. They're getting us used to, oh my God, there's going to be asteroids. And then the alien shows. Oh my God, we're not alone. There are aliens coming. Predictive programming. Trying to get you ready for what they're going to throw on you next, so that you'll accept their solutions. This is, in this article, it's put forth as all just conspiracy theory, except the pattern is well established now. And it's coincidentally dang near batting 1,000, except for that one episode with Hillary, as far as I know. Go Google this sometime. Simpsons predict the future and see what you find. Holy cow. It's almost like The Simpsons is a prophetic TV show. Now, so about Werner von Braun, just hold your horses there, Natasha. Don't get ahead of the ball game. Why would they want to do all of this? Well, to put you into a world that you think is one type of reality when it's actually another. You mean like the Matrix, Joe? Oh, more predictive programming. And look what happens to the people who take the red pill. They're shown as being hunted and killed, and it's easier to go back and blue pill yourself and everything else. And then you find out that it's all for naught, because in the end, the computer just wipes everything and starts all over again. You are all just a program. It's not like we've been told that our existence is that we're not really alive and we don't really exist. We're all just a program running on the inside of a black hole. So, oh, wait a minute. They've been doing that as well. So how would all this tie into spiritual beings, Joe? Well, read the stories. Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Spirits can influence human thinking and behavior. They can whisper in your ear, so to speak. They can't make you do anything. But if you're predetermined, or not predetermined, but I can't think of the word right now. Presupposed or whatever. It's a word that says you're pre-inclined or whatever. I'm having a brain
propensity.
Yeah, I can't think of the word. I know it's there. I'm getting older. Brain farts. Anyhow, if you already inclined to think in one direction, a spiritual being can give you a nudge and you'll run with it. And they can direct and shape and push human behavior in certain directions. So one of the other things I think that evil boasts. Evil can't help but boasting. And it likes to flaunt things right in your face. But it does understand that it can't do it in a way that's so apparent that even the normies will catch on. Predisposed. That's the word. JMW. Thank you. He's thinking much better than I am. So you've got to do things in a way that it's out in the open and you're boasting, and anybody who's awake is going to see what you're doing, but not in a way that the ones that you've lulled to sleep might actually wake up and see what you're doing. So you do it this way. You predictive programming in your movies and books and TV shows. It's also desensitizing you to things like all of the violent video games. And you do a whole bunch of other things, like you break up families so you don't have fathers that'll be there to help instruct you against this predictive programming. Because ladies, I'm sorry, this stuff works on females much better than it does on men. Not girly men, but men. Redneck guys are not going to fall for this nearly as much as highly educated left wokeism females will. I mean, there's a reason that all of these people in the No Kings, protests were gray-haired, blue-blood leftist women, woke leftist women, and their girly men husbands and boyfriends. You didn't see a whole lot of blue-collared, what we would think of as good old boys out there. Why? Because the psychology between men and women is different. Okay, and this type of stuff works better on females than males. Why? Because it works on the fear reactions. It's easier to scare a woman than it is to scare a manly man. Because, and I'm sorry, but I mean real men. Because they'll be like, okay, yeah, there's danger. I'm a little afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. Women don't do that. But the spiritual beings know that if I can influence the women, then I can get the manly men to do what the heck I want them to do through their women. Samson, does that ring any bells? Solomon, does that ring any bells? David, King David, does that ring any bells? What happened to all of them? How did they come down? Oh yeah, women. Yeah, got it. Understand. Whole of Israel marrying Philistine and Canaanite. That didn't end well. Okay, I got it. I see. So the angels haven't changed their playbook. The fallen angels, the bad ones, the rebellious ones, the archons or the Anunnaki or whatever, the aliens haven't changed their playbook. So when I come back, Werner von Braun, some of you already figured we were going there. Yes, we are. Take the bottom of the hour break, 3 minutes, come back. I'm going to remind you of some other shows we've done and see if maybe certain bells don't start going off in your head and you go, there's no direct connection, but there's an awful lot of strings all heading in the same direction. Velocity vectors pointing all to the same conclusion. See you in 3 minutes. I didn't put this in your homework. I'm glad you're back. Hope you are. Have y'all heard the theory about the Kodachrome or whatever? I don't remember what the word is for this one. I never bothered with it too much, but apparently that's something that's in the blood of infant babies that supposedly all our elites in Hollywood, they're eating the flesh and drinking the blood of, babies that they sacrifice, satanic rituals. And this is why all these people in Hollywood seem to be much younger than they actually are, look younger than they are. I don't know if you've heard of that, but if you start tracing that little rabbit down that rabbit hole, you're going to find out that that's connected to the Nephilim as well, because they were cannibals and ate the blood and flesh of human beings. Da-da-da-da. Up, JMW, 2 gold stars. There it is. Okay, either he needs to start teaching the class or he's been studying. It's adrenochrome. Yeah, adrenochrome. Yeah, adrenochrome, because they scare these babies to death, get their adrenal glands going, and then kill them and eat them that way because they say it tastes better or whatever. Anyhow, whatever. And if you see these politicians and powerful people in history with red shoes, that's also another sign, indication that's connected to the child sacrifice and cannibalism and adrenochrome and all this other good stuff and the secret societies and all of that other stuff. So yeah, I know it's all just conspiracy theory, Joe. Conspiracy theory. Okay, well, whatever. I don't know if you've ever run across this one. This is an old, defunct, now dead old blog page of mine. I did this a long time ago. It's still available. You can still find it if you know where to look for it. But fear and crisis, we've been repeatedly warned. Now, I wrote this years ago, but this is about Werner von Braun and the testimony of Dr. Carol Rosin. And this is after von Braun converted to Christianity. What? Oh, yeah. I'll get to you there in a minute. She said, Dr. Carol, and she gave testimony, sworn testimony on this. She goes, we're going to read a section here. She says, what was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity to work with him. He was dying of cancer at this time. And he was basically, he was trying to seek amends for everything he had done. Remember, von Braun was a Nazi. He's also the father of NASA. He's the one who got us to the moon. He did have a Christian conversion in his life. I'll get to that in a few minutes, but he's bearing his soul to Dr. Carol Rosin, who was his assistant toward the end of his life in the early to mid 70s. And he's telling her the things that he's learned about. So she said that von Braun said, the strategy that was being used to, quote unquote, educate the public and decision makers was to use scare tactics. That was how we identified an enemy. Never let a good crisis go to waste. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first, the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. And in fact, in 1974, they were the enemy. And this is a real case. Early on, the Russians were an enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites, and we were told that they were coming to get us and control us, that they were commies. Well, I firmly believe that that's not entirely untrue. But then terrorists would be identified. And that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. So we have Islamic terrorism and then third world crazies like North Korea and Iran. We now call them nations of concern, but he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would build space-based weapons. Okay, you got to have Star Wars, right? Now, von Braun gave us these predictions in the early to mid 70s. So far, he seems to be right on target. Next, the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons, meaning he understood that that ain't going to work. And she says, and the funniest one of all was what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final scare. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We are going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it is a lie. Now, that general that I linked you to a little while ago in the first half hour that went missing, who was linked to the alien bases, was working on directed energy weapons, space-based directed energy weapons. Oh, yeah, space-based defense systems. See, here's how this works. The people doing the work don't need to know that it's all a lie. They just have to think it's real. They have to believe it's real. Even the ones in the higher up management positions. There could be not a one person in Congress that knows the absolute truth, but everybody thinks that this is actually aliens. They don't need to know what it really is. You don't need to get them to do that. This is the theory of the useful idiot. And in this case, the idiot, because they don't question, not because they're stupid, but because they don't stop and say, wait a minute, am I being used, played, or manipulated? So you go back to this story here, and you keep coming down, and you'll come to where Eisenhower warned you about the military-industrial complex. So I guess we can't trust old Ike, even though he flat out told us that the military was running this country. Military and the banking system, and now the healthcare cabal. It's all about keeping you a slave so that they can make money. But he warned us that there were people making decisions in this country. And I think that's what you got going on in Iran right now, is they use war to affect global policy. They used World War I to redraw national boundaries all throughout Europe and in the Middle East. They used World War II. Well, World War II, I don't think that they planned that, but they screwed up in World War I and made sure World War II was going to happen. But ever since then, it's the same thing. It's Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope. This is the rest of the post. So you can find that in your homework. Then we have this one. What is Disclosure Day about? What to know about Steven Spielberg's Alien film. Now, this is being presented as though these aliens are real. It's kind of a faction movie. They're going to present it as fiction, but they're also going to present it as real. They're going to tell you a story, but they've got a lot of supposed scientists and political people in it saying that this is all real. You are being desensitized so that you'll be ready to say, oh yeah, aliens are real. This is predictive program. And it tells you what it's all about. And this is part of the movie video, clips from the video, and blah, 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 blah. You go to your homework. I think I put the trailer in there for you. Let's see. Let's find out. Yep, right there. There's the trailer. You can go watch it. So, where am I going to go with all this? I'm going to go right here. All of this, to me, smacks of what I learned in this book by Jonathan Cahn, The Return of the Gods. Now, if you know the Enochian material and you've read Return of the Gods, then you know that Return of the Gods and the Enochian First Enoch book especially, these two go hand in hand with each other. And both Enoch and Return of the Gods are telling the Deuteronomy 32 worldview story, which is at the heart of the truth of the Archon and Anukai mythology. Mythology being a twisting of the actual truth, a flipping on its head or a morphing into culturally relevant versions of the same teachings. Now, Charlie, when you first read this book, did anything about this book go, oh, wow, to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was an eye opener.
Especially since you had read The Unseen Realm before you read this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
This book will explain that the Baals have returned, literally.
Oh, yeah, literally, yes.
Abortion is the new form of Moloch worship. Mm-hmm. And the LGBT community, the rainbow jihad community, folks, brothers, sisters, that's Astra straight up in your face.
Oh, yeah.
These are the three gods that plagued the northern and southern kingdoms of Israel, that got them destroyed by Yahweh. All three of these
gods. What's amazing is the way they do things and such mirror nearly exactly the way that they happened in the ancient times, and we don't even see it today because we're so far away from that culture and everything environment. We just
Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is a Tammuz celebration
Yep.
to Ashtra,
Yep.
to Ishtar,
hmm
to Easter.
Yep.
Right down the 40 days, the colorful, androgynous,
Yep.
sexually. Because if you've never been to a real Mardi Gras parade,
Oh,
there's debauchery all over the place there. Sexual
yeah.
androgyny. It's all about the breaching of Yahweh's boundaries, of the Creator's boundaries. It's all about the mixing and the removal of boundaries. So if you think that read or listen to this book, in some cases, the exact same event or same type of event, you will I don't have to paint this. You'll recognize, oh my God, those are almost the same thing on the exact anniversaries of the dates that they happened in the past.
Yep.
To the exact same gods. And with the exact same quote unquote sacrifices or religious ceremonies.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
scary, eerie.
Yeah. Way beyond statistical probability. Way beyond.
If I accept the Deuteronomy 32 worldview, and I accept that the pit has been opened and all of those fallen angels, the watchers and the demons have been released, Charlie, shouldn't I expect something like what's in this book here to happen?
Yeah, one would expect that, yeah.
Expect it. A Bible believer with the Deuteronomy would be so much so that you'd be looking for it.
Looking for it, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has happened and more. The Oracle. If you've read, if you never read anything else, read Kahn's book, The Oracle and the Return of the Gods. Read those two books or listen to them. And then come back to us and tell us that the Bible isn't prophetic.
Yeah.
You could be the most strident atheist that exists on the planet. And if you are intellectually honest, that's the key. You have to be an intellectually honest atheist. And you listen to or read both of these books and check his sourcing.
Yeah, check the footnotes.
He gives you the footnotes. Check his receipts. Yeah. Come back and tell me that there's not something to the Bible's prophecy. I double, I triple, I quadruple dare you. Because in the Oracle, Charlie, I realized something. Stay with me here for a minute. The Oracle tells us about the return of everything on the Jubilee years following the Shemitah pattern, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How did Ellis Schofield open Daniel? He recognized that the 70 weeks follows the Jubilee
belief cycle,
the Shemitah Jubilee belief cycle. He didn't even understand it that well because he was a Christian, but he recognized the pattern of Sister Judah in the Torah. He opened Daniel with the exact same pattern that has opened the return of everything that was taken from Israel.
Right.
That's a second witness to me. That means that and when you see how he opened it, the pattern points to the restoration of Israel as a nation in 47, 48, and to the restoration of Jerusalem to that nation in 67. And that's going to point to everything that happens in the Oracle leading up to all those dates. Go read those books. Kahn's books, and if you really want your mind blown, read them in conjunction with Ellis Schofield's Hidden Beast too. And then come back to me and tell me that the Bible is just a myth and there's nothing to it. Because all of this was done by several different, prophets over hundreds of years, and it all just meshes together perfectly. So, okay, I told you I'd bring you this. Thanks, Charlie. Werner von Braun, this is Crosswalk, well-known Christian web source, and it talks about Werner von Braun, the Christian rocket scientist. We are fortunate that Werner von Braun left us with numerous quotations that reflect his religious beliefs. They served as an excellent tool to view science in light of awesome power of God. And if you're interested, you come down here and some of his quotes, like here, while technology controls the forces of nature around us, ethics try to control the forces of nature within us. I think it is a fair assumption that the 10 Commandments are entirely adequate without amendments to cope with all the problems of the technological revolution not only has brought up, but will bring up in the future. The real problem is not a lack of ethical legislation, but a lack of in day-to-day guidance and control. When science freed itself from the bonds of religious dogma, thus opening the way for technological revolution, the church also lost much of its influence on the ethical conduct of man. And then he goes on, but these are Christian laments in his case. But all of these are quotes from him in his career decisions and what he's done. But I've got a second one in here for you. Nazi rocket scientist Werner von Braun, converted to Christ, interviewed in 1966 by C.M. Ward. And this is the interview right here. And you can go by and see. And he says, I discovered God in Manned Spacecraft Center, in the Manned Spacecraft Center, by David L. Johnson. And it's books about him. It's his work in what he was doing with NASA that brought him to God. And there are microbiologists whose work brought them to the Creator. There are astrophysicists whose work brought them to the Creator. Quantum mechanics, people working in quantum mechanics, that work brought them to the Creator. And they're all telling you that the first sip of science will make you into an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, you'll find God sitting there waiting for you. So they're telling you, if you're doing science honestly, with a sincere, intellectual honesty, you are going to find that science screams about the Creator. And then finally, I don't know. I think we did a show on this one, Natasha. I don't remember it. I did a post on this. This is from 2022. Time for a cosmic conspiracy theory. And essentially, in this cosmic conspiracy theory, and I think that show I did, Natasha, I might have even done it as Dr. Evil, telling everybody that we were taking over the world. But in this one, I'm showing you how Islam has penetrated and subverted Washington, D.C. in conjunction with the Democratic Party. I go over a lot of this. Sharia law is coming to your neighborhood near you, and I connect this spiritually if you read the narration. I read all of that. Racist, how Marsha, how it's meant to protect you from this. The Harbinger, that's going to connect you to the Bible prophecies that were given to the Northern Kingdom before they were attacked and overthrown and destroyed by Assyria. And this connects us to how 9/11 is the exact same repeat of that prophecy in the pattern. It's the exact same pattern given to the exact same people. This country is the remnant, the spiritual remnant of the Northern Kingdom, Ephraim and Manasseh. And he doesn't mention that, but that's how this happens. It's because it's the same prophetic pattern that follows them. And then I explain that here. But this is also in your homework. You can find that. Let's see. Okay. Natasha's found some of them. She'll throw them in the show notes for the class, the comments section. So it'll be a permanent record of the class. And I'll go back later and I'll put them in the show notes so you'll be able to find them on the blog page. Why did I want to do all of this? This alien conspiracy stuff. If you understand the physical constants in all of the things that are necessary for life and the way we understand it to exist, if you know how difficult it is, how precisely tuned this particular planet, Earth, is for life as we know it, you'll understand that the odds of an extraterrestrial species coming to contact us, let alone more than one, they're astronomically prohibitive. They're way beyond statistical zero. And here's another thing for old earthers. Even Dr. Ross has a problem with this, and he notes it in his books, but he doesn't fully understand the ramifications of his own observations. Earth, where it sits in the Milky Way galaxy right now, is in a sweet spot. I mean, the sweetest of sweet spots. 250,000 years ago, 250,000 years from now, thereabouts, in either direction, we're going to be approaching one of the arms in our spiral galaxy. And as you approach the arms, the cosmic radiation from these arms, because the suns, the different stars are packed closer together in those arms, the radiation will increase, and the Oort cloud and the magnetic bubble that the sun makes around our solar system will not be sufficient to keep that radiation from penetrating into our solar system. And as we get closer and closer to the next arm, moving into it, because we rotate within the galaxy and the arms rotate, the sun, our galaxy just doesn't stay in the clear open area where we are this whole time. And not only do we rotate throughout the galaxy, but we follow it up and down pattern like a sine wave. So what this all does is it purges this planet of life about every 250 to 500, 150 million, 1.5 million years. It's going to purge it of all life. The radiation will just burn it to death. There'll be the only hope of anything surviving will be in the bottom of the oceans, deep, because the ocean can mitigate against cosmic radiation. And then way, way deep underground. So the bottom of caves and in the oceans, that type of place is the only place where life as we know it will continue to exist. But that leaves you with, when we come out of those arms, you have about 250,000 years for quote unquote evolution to give us the biosphere we see amongst us today. That is not nearly enough time, according to any theory of evolution. It's not enough time. So when you look at what our science thinks it knows, because we're not there, we can't, all we can do is look at the way things are today and extrapolate what to expect in the future and in the past. So this planet is in a period of time uniquely suited for life as we know it. In 250,000 years ago, I know science says we had dinosaurs. No, you didn't. No, you couldn't have. 250 to 500,000, you couldn't have. 250 to 500,000 years in the future, you can't have. Because that same science that says that those things existed all that time ago says those things couldn't have existed all that time ago because of the intense bombardment of the galactic radiation that we're going to encounter. Same science. That's a contradiction in the science. Now, if it's going to happen to us, don't you think it's going to happen to these UFO aliens somewhere? Especially since we cannot find a planet anywhere in the universe that seems to fit the Goldilocks conditions to allow life to exist on them. So yeah, Joe, we found the second Earth. No, you didn't. That second Earth doesn't have a moon. You don't need a moon for Earth to live. All you need is water. Oh, no. You need a moon. And you need a moon roughly the same size and mass as ours, in the same type of orbit as ours. And I don't know if you know this, but the moon around the Earth is only 0.05 degree or percent out of perfect circle. That is just weird. That doesn't happen in this universe. Most orbits are elliptical. Our moons, for all practical purposes, isn't. Now, why is that unique? Because it stabilizes the Earth's rotation and on its axis and tilt and orbits, and it gives us the tides. Water is not enough. You need the tides because the tides create the wetlands and the marshes, which clean the seas from all its toxins and allows the sea to breed life. So without that type of a moon in that type of an orbit, you don't get life. So that planet they're saying is the second Earth. No life as we know it and understand it. And it gets even more complicated the more you read into what's existing here. The media will never tell you about any of this. They want you to believe that there's life everywhere in the universe. It makes for great science fiction, sells stories, books, movies, whatever. But it also pre-programs you. Predictive programming that they can use to force you into doing whatever they want you to do, or to buy whatever program they want to sell us politically now. We all got to become good communists because otherwise the aliens are going to come down and eat us because we're destroying the planet, or whatever story they want to sell you. When they tell you the truth, you're going to be a lot harder to manipulate. But also, if you understood just how hostile to life this universe is, well, then the most plausible explanation for why there's life on this planet suddenly becomes the Bible. not the archons or aliens like everybody wants to say, not the Anunnaki or aliens like everybody wants to argue these days, not the fact that you're a program on the inside of a black hole because somebody has to write that program. No, you're going to end up in the Bible. Yeah, I know Jimmy Zinker says it's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Problem with that is that life? Life as we know it. And if you find life that isn't as we know it, is it life? You know, form and function define, right? Once it's outside of what we think life is it life? Anyhow, it was a rabbit hole day. It's just a think piece day. It's just meant to help you if you didn't know about all these things. Oh, and there's a lot more. Oh, God, yes, there's a lot more I didn't bring to you. And the cool thing for me is, for Joe, just, you don't have to agree with any of this. I don't mind. I understand most people won't, but everything I've just told you ties together in one neat little conspiracy theory, so long as I accept the Deuteronomy 32 worldview of the Bible. If I do that, then all of this makes sense, to the point that I can even start predicting things in the future with a reasonably high degree of accuracy. Just general things, not specific, but in general, what's going to come next. And I have. And if you've been following my blogging since 2005, 2006, a lot of my predictions have come true. Which, Mr. Beck, that doesn't mean that you're a prophet of the Mormon Church. You're not doing anything different than I did, and I'm not a prophet. It doesn't take a genius to read history, understand human nature, and predict that sooner or later we're going to pile ourselves into cities, the nation's going to become morally decayed, decrepit, fall into a civil war, and either go back into tyranny or fall back on the writings of the founding fathers so that we can use them to restore. Oh, wait a minute. That's exactly what Jefferson told us was going to happen. I guess he was a prophet too. Or he knew history and human nature and just, that's Occam's razor. That's the simplest solution. So, Mr. Beck, you're not a prophet, brother. No. You're not telling the future. Why am I being smarty toward Mr. Beck? Charlie, why am I being a smart aleck to Mr. Beck?
Yeah. He's pretty good, but he doesn't tell you his underlying agenda. But
it's his Mormon religion.
Yep.
Once you learn to filter everything Beck does through his religion, you understand that he's trying to proselytize you. Yes, calls himself a Christian, but he's
a good missionary.
Yes, he is.
According to Mormon Church, he's.
And once I understood all that, that's when I quit listening to him because I could no longer trust him. But his research team, whole different group of people. So anyhow, and I listen to them simply to get to their show notes, to their study notes and their references and their receipts. Charlie, you got anything you want to add before we wrap up for today?
Well, I just want to share the quote from my granddaughter this morning. Because I have to go.
She's tickled you pink.
Yeah, she has. Because she was asking me what I had to do today, and I said, "Yeah, I got to do the podcast, and then I got to go fight with the government." And she goes, "Well, why do you got to do that?" I go, "Because they're trying to steal my money. Because I'm going on Medicare. Well, my wife and I are going on Medicare next month, and we have to make arrangements for premiums and all this other stuff." But she says, "Well, why don't you just kick them out and make a new one?" And I'm like, out of the mouth of babes. 6 years old and more intelligent than the majority of the American community at large. So, yeah.
I don't know which three to choose for my lions and tigers and bears. Is it Nephilim, Archons, Anunnaki, and aliens? Oh, my.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So. Anyhow, that's what we had for y'all. So tomorrow, Genesis 10, maybe 11, depends. There's a lot to chew in those two chapters. I kind of messed up yesterday in our Saturday on Sabbath in our congregation. I've already covered the timeline and lineages of when who begot who. Where we're going to get into now is who moves where and the people groups and everything. And that's still tomorrow. Genesis 10 and 11 is at the heart of the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. So it'll dovetail fine with this show. And it's important. It is important because even to understanding world history. So if you want to join us then, join us. Then more of Jeremiah on Wednesday. I think we might be wrapping up this week or next week on the study in the Bible and the myths, among the myths. And then we'll be into the next chapter on Friday with the scepter and the birthright. That's an interesting study for me. I hope y'all are joining us for that one. Yeah, that's why they call it natural rights. Even a child gets it. Yes, exactly. Mr. Zinker making comments on the board today. So that's what's in store for us this week. And I'm just going to get going, leave you be. We love you. We thank you for being here. We appreciate everything you do. You know, that just giving us your time. Hopefully, though, today, hopefully we entertained you. But this is also something for you to maybe look into when you have some spare time. Rather than watching something stupid and mindless on the internet, dig into some of this. Just be careful with who you study with. Some of these people out there really are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Others, you know, if they don't draw too many conclusions, kind of like I'm telling you when it's my opinion, I do that very well. In my opinion, me, Joe. But if they're just making you aware of these things, that's cool. Dr. Heiser's a good one for this. He'll help you with all of this because he doesn't really draw too much of opinions on it. And his Fringe Pop 321 on YouTube is a good place to start. This is really, though, a fascinating rabbit hole to run down, especially if you look into all of these the Anunnaki and the Archons and the Nephilim, and then you go watch or listen to or whatever, read The Return of the Gods from Jonathan Cahn. Holy cow. Deuteronomy 32 worldview through and through. So if you like what we're doing, please hit the like buttons. If you haven't already done so, subscribe, hit the bell so that you'll know when we do new shows, especially since some of our shows are not always advertised. They just pop on. And share the show if you think it's worth it. Tell the people that you're sharing the show with about me, whichever way you want. We know that I'm an acquired taste. We say it, we mean it. So until we see each other again, y'all stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.